How you guys doing? Today it is me, TG, back with another tutorial video, and today we're going to be talking about the Kraber Sniper Rifle. This is one of the most likely underrated snipers in the game. Now I say underrated because a lot of people go to the DMR or the double take for their sniping, which is reasonable. It's understandable because the Kraber is pretty difficult to use. It is a projectile based bullet that you have to lead your shot and also aim your shot proportionally to the gravity in the game. So there is actual bullet drop with this sniper rifle, so you have to aim your shots accordingly. So real quick before I get into a lot of other details that we'll be talking about in this video, I want to briefly go over my loadout for the Kraber Sniper Rifle. Now I use the variable zoom. I also use factory issue. I use both interchangeable really. I don't use threat scope because I like having a second mod on my gun, but other than those two, I wouldn't really recommend the threat scope. It's up to you if you want to use it. I'm not saying just never use it. You know, it's good to use different scopes on all of your weapons, but personally I like the factory issue and the variable zoom. They're both very, very viable and very good. Now as for mods, I use gun ready because I like to aim down sights pretty quickly. Now, you're probably going to hate me for this, but I quick scope, I no scope, and I also do regular scope ADS from long range. Now, I mainly quick scope and no scope because Titanfall is a very fast-paced game, and I'm running around a lot to try and get kills. So that's why I use gun ready. Now, secondly, I use speed loader because I want to reload my weapon really quickly. If I run out of all 4 bullets, that means I'm going to be sitting there for probably 2 seconds reloading this weapon. It has a really long reload animation if you drop all 4 bullets out of its magazine, and it takes a while to get back into the fight. Now, if you only drop 3 and go to reload, it's quite a bit faster because you don't have to cock the bolt back, but speed loader will still get you there a lot faster, get you back into the fight a lot faster than if you're just using the normal reload animation. Now, speed loader, I would say, speed loader and gun ready are both interchangeable for extra ammo here, but I would still say speed loader and gun ready are probably your best options. Now, if you want to go for some really, really cool kills, something really awesome to stick in your montage or your, a video to show your friends, then I would recommend Ricochet here. So I'll take a look at it. Ricochet. Now this bounces off of surfaces and hits other targets. So if you bounce it off of a wall, you could possibly hit a pilot. So if using Ricochet is what you find really cool and you want to use that in maybe a video, then I would recommend that as well. But I would only recommend that for getting cool shots that you want to stick into videos, montages, things like that. Other than those uses, I wouldn't say it's too viable unless you're really, really, really good at geometry. So that is my loadout for the Kraber Sniper Rifle, and without further ado, let's jump into some actual gameplay. I'm just going to be doing a private match to show you guys how the bullet drop works, how the aim, and what the bullet spread is. So, yeah, without further ado, let's get it, my dudes. Okay, so hopping right into it, you're going to see me doing some no-scopes here. Pretty close range, just so you guys can get an idea of the spread of the bullets. Now, most of the bullets are going to hit pretty center mass. Some of them are going to hit dead straight. Some of them are going to be slightly under, and that's going to be the main area for the Kraber to hit. It's going to be in a central area, either slightly under your barrel or direct on. Now, you do have a lot of bullets. I wouldn't say actually a lot. I would say a decent few that will fly off to the very far left, the very far right, drop way low, or go very high. Now, that doesn't happen an immense amount of times, but it is going to happen, and you might be unlucky while trying to no scope at a close range like this and miss your target because the bullet decided to fly way off of its target. But as you can see, a lot of the bullets are just hitting right in the middle, while some are flying around erratically. Well, it's not a huge deal that a lot of them are flying around. It is good to keep in mind while you're doing long range no scopes like I'm about to show you. See, it's a lot harder to land this shot on a target from a long range like this because of the spread of the bullets. Now, it's not impossible, but it's very difficult, and as you can see here, I do manage to pull it off. But the way I no scope is that I keep my target locked on with the barrel. So as you can see right there, I was able to snipe this grunt from a really far off distance, and I kept him in my crosshair. As you can see right there is him directly in the center mass of my reticle, and I pull the trigger to take him down because a lot of those bullets will travel directly straight. They will not differ from their path. They will drop a little bit depending on how far you are, but I was up on a building, so I didn't have to aim up on his body. I just kept center mass, pulled the trigger, and got my target. So what I'm about to show you right now is some close-up no-scoping, which is a lot more effective than long range. So as you can see, I'm keeping my crosshair set on these grunts, and boom, 2 pulls of the trigger and I get 2 kills, and on the 3rd pull I get a 3rd kill. Now you'll also see here the magazine is flying very erratically. I'm keeping my aim dead center on this grunt, but the bullets do not want to connect. That was an entire magazine that just did not fly straight, and now that's all up to the gun. While that sounds crazy, it's like, oh man, I'm leaving RNG up to the Kraber. Your best option is to keep your aim dead center on your target, because most of the bullets will fly straight. And as you just saw with those last 2, I ended up getting 2 no-scopes back to back again because I kept it center mass. Now, if I would have kept it left or right, I may have ended up getting the shot, but it's a lot less likely you will actually get the no-scope if you aim to the left or to the right of their body. It can happen based off of the Kraber's erratic shots, but it will happen a lot less often, so that's just something to keep in mind. You might get lucky by aiming off to the left or right and getting a shot, but it's not always going to be the case, so it's just a good thing to keep in mind to keep your crosshair set straight on these targets. So with no scoping out of the way, we're going to be talking about aiming down sights and how to lead or account for bullet drop. Leading your shots as well as accounting for bullet drop in Titanfall 2 is one of the most difficult things to do. As you can see right here, I aimed a little bit too high and I missed the shot on the grunt's head because I was too close for the bullet drop to actually take its effect. Now, if you back up from a longer distance, you are able to aim slightly above their head, pull the trigger, and then end up with a headshot, as you'll see me do right here multiple times over. Now 1 headshot, 2 headshots, and then we'll go into the 3rd headshot right there. As for all of the targets, I am aiming slightly above their head, not any more than a circle above their head. Now if you see in the middle of my crosshair there was a tiny little circle. If you put a full circle above their head, you will end up hitting them directly in the face. Now headshots aren't really necessary because the Kraber one-shot hits anywhere on the body. The headshot is just more of a wow factor, and I'm kind of using it just as a reference point for you in this video. So getting a chest shot is perfectly viable. It's never necessary to get a headshot with the Kraber, just a fair warning. Now also a pretty important thing about the Kraber is while standing on a rooftop, which is going to happen a lot in Titanfall, bullet drop still happens, but it happens a tiny bit less than it does while on the ground shooting horizontally. When you're on the rooftop, the bullet drop is a little less drastic than it is while you're on the ground, just because you're shooting from a surface that is higher up than the ground itself. So the bullet drop is a little less accountable, and you're able to fire from longer ranges while losing a little bit less drop from the bullets. Now, as you can see here, if you walk up to a target and pull the trigger, it is almost a guarantee to hit. A lot of the times you will not be missing a point-blank no-scope because the Kraber has such a tight fire radius. The reticle and the bloom are very tight when pulling the trigger, and it's very, very rare that you will end up with a far-off miss. So, with the Kraber overall, it's very accurate. It is very, very easy to land these far-off shots and to lead once you know how to do it. Now, another important thing that I want to talk about is actually no-scoping while jumping. This is actually something very interesting and unique to this game because jumping is a very large part of Titanfall and is a very, very natural thing that you'll be doing. So obviously no-scoping is going to be the quickest way that you'll get a kill, and jumping while no-scoping is actually going to happen a lot more often than you might think. I'm going to be showing you the spread of no-scoping while jumping now, and the spread is actually a lot more than it was while just standing still and no-scoping, and this is because you're moving around and you're jumping, so the reticle is going to be a lot wider, but there actually is a pattern to no-scoping while jumping / falling. When you're on the downfall, your bullets are going to be lower, and they're going to stay somewhat to the right. Now, as you see, these bullets, they are lower than what they were before because I'm falling down. And you're seeing those 3 little cluster of bullets on the right side, now 4, and now 5. They're all staying to the right, and they're staying clustered. And that's something to keep in mind as well, because whenever you're no-scoping, you're gonna notice that a lot of those bullets are going to the right, so you're gonna want to keep your target a little to the right and a little below you because of this drop. Now, whenever you're falling like that, the bullets are also going to be a little bit lower because you're falling. So you're going to want to keep your position, the speed at which you're falling, and the position of your enemy all in mind so you can land that no-scope when maybe you're falling out of your Titan after ejecting and coming back down to the earth, you're trying to no-scope someone. You're going to want to keep that in mind, and even while aiming down sights, that is going to happen because you are falling at a very fast rate, so your bullet is going to enter at a different angle than you were expecting it to because you're constantly moving. So, when no-scoping or just scoping while falling, those are some things to keep in mind because the bullet drop is going to be a lot different than it is when standing still. So lastly here, I'm going to be showing you some clips of a live action game that I played where I was quickscoping, no-scoping, things like that, running around the map with the Kraber Sniper Rifle, and I'm just going to show you guys these real quick because I want you to get a feel for what an actual scenario in the game might look like when you have to quickscope, no-scope, things like that, where you just don't have time to sit around and wait back to pick your enemy off with the sniper rifle. So, as always, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. I hope you guys enjoy all the new content that I'm trying to get out to you, and I hope to see you guys in the future, maybe in some future videos or possibly in my live streams on Twitch. So as always, I hope you guys have an awesome day. Peace out. This has been TG.